Here are today's top stories. Senator Antonio Trillanes faces arrest for various acts of mutiny following the revocation of his amnesty by President Rodrigo Duterte. The House Justice Panel begins hearings on the impeachment complaint against Chief Justice Teresita de Castro and 6 other justices who were instrumental in the ouster of Maria Lourdes Sereno. The Presidential Electoral Tribunal dismisses the plea for the inhibition of Associate Justice Benjamin Caguiwa in the vice presidential election recount. And Filipino table tennis Olympian Yan Yan Lariba passes away due to leukemia. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the revocation of the amnesty granted to Senator Antonio Trillanes. Justice Secretary Maynardo Guevara says the president signed a proclamation last August 31st canceling the amnesty. According to the proclamation, Trillanes did not accomplish his requirements for amnesty, such as an official application. The senator also did not issue an admission of guilt regarding his involvement in numerous uprisings, namely the 2003 Oakwood Mutiny, the Marine Standoff in 2006, and the Manila Peninsula Siege in 2007. Trillanes, who may face criminal and administrative charges, is likely to be court-martialed. The AFP and the PNP has also been ordered to arrest the senator. Meanwhile, Trillanes has slammed the revocation, calling it political persecution. Trillanes says he is ready to face the charges against him and will not resist arrest. The meeting between President Rodrigo Duterte and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was one of the highlights of the president's 4-day official visit to Israel. Rom Dulfo has the story.
President Rodrigo Duterte and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a bilateral meeting as part of efforts to improve cooperation between the two countries. The President and Netanyahu witnessed the signing of 3 agreements: a Memorandum of Agreement on the temporary employment of home-based Filipino caregivers, a Memorandum of Understanding on scientific cooperation, and a Memorandum of Intent on the collaboration on the promotion of bilateral direct investment. The President also thanked Netanyahu for Israel's support after the Philippines was battered by Super Typhoon Yolanda. Duterte hailed Israel for being a gracious host to Filipino workers. Netanyahu meanwhile praised Filipino caregivers, even citing that his father was cared for by one. He promised to lay down more concrete measures to protect the welfare of OFWs. After the meeting, the President attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Israel Holocaust Memorial Center, Yad Vashem, in Jerusalem. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Ernesto Abella earlier acknowledged that Israel is a very liberal and outspoken country, just like the Philippines, and their people were free to voice their opinions. Abella emphasized Israelis deeply appreciate the president's tough stance on illegal drugs and criminality. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The House Justice Committee on Tuesday started its initial hearing on the impeachment complaints lodged against Supreme Court Chief Justice Teresita de Castro and 6 associate justices. The 7 justices are being accused of betrayal of public trust and culpable violation of the Constitution over the Supreme Court decision which ousted Maria Lourdes Sereno via quo warranto. The complainants insisted that impeachment is the only mode or process of removing impeachable officials like the Chief Justice. They also hit the refusal of the justices to inhibit themselves in the adjudication of the quo warranto petition. 5 of the magistrates testified against Sereno during the House Committee on Justice. Speaker Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo meanwhile asked for the impeachment proceedings to be expedited so as not to disturb the legislative agenda of the lower chamber. The Philippine National Police Chief has relieved the police chiefs of Sultan Kudarat Province and Isulan Town following the spate of bomb attacks in the area. Sultan Kudarat Acting Provincial Director Senior Superintendent Noel Quinazo and Isulan Police Chief Superintendent Celestino Daniel were ordered removed hours after the second bomb explosion in Isulan that left 2 persons dead and 13 others wounded. Superintendent Juni Buenacosa, a former police chief of Tacurong City, was named as Daniel's replacement. Assigned as Quinazo's replacement was Senior Superintendent Reynaldo Celestino, who served briefly as acting police director of Cotabato City. Police said the improvised bomb exploded Sunday evening inside an internet cafe. The bomb was reportedly placed inside a bag and left by a still unidentified suspect moments before the blast. Meanwhile, 10 of the injured victims remain confined in various hospitals, while 3 were already discharged. Motorists can expect a much larger increase in fuel pump prices as oil companies implemented another round of price adjustments on Tuesday. In separate announcements, local oil firms announced an increase of 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter for diesel and 95 centavos per liter for unleaded gasoline and kerosene. These price adjustments were much more significant than the increases implemented last week. Last August 28, liquid fuel prices went up by a few centavos each. Oil executives simply attribute the imminent price hikes to movements in the international petroleum market, which are being passed on to the Filipino consumer. Still to come, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal dismisses the plea for the inhibition of Associate Justice Benjamin Caguioa in the vice presidential election recount. The police provincial director of Masbate is facing removal after the spate of bombings at the Masbate Pier. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ito ang Duterte on Duty. Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente. August 23, Huwebes, Davao City. Naging panauhing pandangal si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa ika-12 anibersaryo ng Eastern Mindanao Command.
I'd like to congratulate the men and women of the Eastern Mindanao Command and those who passed before you, mga sundalong namatay. We have said our prayers for them, and I hope that this conflict of ours between our brothers and sisters would end up, and we have a respite of about 1 year where we can live in peace.
August 25, Sabado, Holosulu. Binisita ng Pangulo ang mga nagpapagaling na sundalo sa Camp Teodulfo Bautista Station Hospital. Pinuntahan at pinasalamatan naman niya ang Joint Task Force Sulu.
All I can say with pride, you are not alone in this fight. Filipino people stands beside you, and I stand with you every step of the way as we advance the common good and promote the safety of our nation.
August 27, Lunes, Taguig City. Sa paggunita ng National Heroes Day, ay hinimok ng Pangulo ang mga Pilipino na tularan ng ating mga bayani.
We're gathered here today not just to commemorate their sacrifices and remember their exploits, but more importantly, to emulate their selflessness and to live up to their example as we go about our daily lives.
Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
The Presidential Electoral Tribunal has junked the petition for the inhibition of Associate Justice Benjamin Caguioa in the election protest of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. The PET denied Marcos's motion for utter lack of merit. Marcos earlier accused Caguioa of evident bias and manifesting partiality in favor of Vice President Leni Robredo, citing his close ties with the former President Benigno Aquino III. The tribunal warned Marcos and his lawyers against making more unfounded and inappropriate accusations in the future. The PET insisted on Caguioa's impartiality and explained that all decisions have been reached through a majority vote of the court en banc. The PET added that Caguioa cannot inhibit from the recount out of convenience or to avoid controversy. The European Union Business Avenues in Southeast Asia has launched a business mission to promote reforms in medical technology and enhance healthcare services for the elderly. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The European Union Business Avenues launched a Healthcare and Medical Technologies business mission to showcase solutions on different challenges brought about by the growing elderly population in the country. European Commission Program Manager Ellen Peterson said their business mission group visited the country because they wanted to have more knowledge of the Philippine market. She said they see a lot of potential in the country in line with PhilHealth's objective to provide quality healthcare to all Filipinos. Europe's healthcare sector has developed due to the increase in their elderly population, enabling it to address the demands of its aging population. Some 50 companies from 15 EU member states took part in the mission, exhibiting the latest medical innovations in elderly care. They also displayed modern equipment used in laboratories, aesthetic and cosmetic facilities, and dental clinics. Peterson believes European investors have no second thoughts about investing in the Philippines. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Philippine economy's growth is expected to remain strong at close to 6.8% this 2018 through increased spending on infrastructure. The growth outlook is higher than the 6.7% output of the domestic economy as measured by gross domestic product in 2017. In a recent Fitch Ratings interview in Manila, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III says the momentum on the Build infrastructure program remains strong. Amid the slower growth in the second quarter this year, Dominguez remains optimistic the domestic economy can achieve faster output in the coming months. He said the government's infrastructure program further got a boost from official development assistance loans from China, Japan, and South Korea. Dominguez also cited the passage of the first tax reform package, which boosted government revenues. A top police official in Masbate is likely to be sacked following the explosion that hit the Masbate Pier Monday morning. PNP spokesperson Benigno Durana says they are still studying the decision to relieve Masbate Provincial Director Senior Superintendent Froilan Navarrosa from his post. Durana explains that the explosion, which damaged 2 Army and Coast Guard boats, was under the jurisdiction of the Philippine Army and the Coast Guard. Meanwhile, the PNP reiterated that the relieving of Sultan Kudarat Provincial Director Noel Quinzano and Isulan Chief of Police Celestino Daniel is to give way to an impartial investigation. Durana admitted that the second explosion in Isulan last Sunday may have been the result of lapses in security. 2 illegal drug personalities were killed on Monday during a buy-bust operation in San Jose de Buenavista in Antique. Police identified the drug personalities as Jennifer Gobatanga and her cousin, Gairel Gobatanga. The suspects have just transacted with a police asset when they fired at operatives who then retaliated and killed them. Police recovered sachets containing suspected shabu, a lighter, a handgun, a grenade, and 2,500 pesos used as buy-bust money. San Jose Buenavista Chief of Police Mark Anthony Daroca meanwhile says the pushers are from Iloilo City who frequently come to Antique for their transactions. The police chief said the drug users in Antique province, primarily consumers who buy their supplies from pushers or suppliers coming from Iloilo or Bacolod City. Up next, the Navy flagship BRP Gregorio del Pilar is safely towed away after running aground on the Hasa-Hasa Shoal. Filipino table tennis Olympian Yan Lariba passes away due to leukemia. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. Philippine Navy flagship BRP Gregorio del Pilar has been successfully towed from the Hasa-Hasa Shoal late Monday evening. The flagship was towed out of the shoal by private tugs assisted by Coast Guard and Navy ships. Coast Guard and Navy divers over the weekend indicated that the ship suffered no hull punctures. However, the starboard propeller has detached from the shaft due to the grounding. AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Noel De Toyato says the frigate, which ran aground on August 29, will be dry docked for repairs in Subic Bay. The Philippines and Indonesia have signed an agreement that will pave the way for the resumption of flights from Davao City to Manado in North Sulawesi. The agreement was signed by Philippine Ambassador to Indonesia Lee Hyong-wee and Indonesian Ambassador to the Philippines Sinyo Hari Sarundajang with the participation of Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade at the Indonesian Embassy. For his part, DOTR Undersecretary Manuel Antonio Tamayo described Davao as an economic powerhouse as compared to Manado, which is both a business center and a gateway to Indonesia. The official likewise said that a Philippine carrier will be sending a team to Manado to assess its viability within the next few days. The Davao-Manado flights were first established in 1972, but they were halted in 2008 due to lack of passenger demand. Filipino table tennis players and other sports officials are mourning the passing of Filipina Olympic paddler Yan Lariba. Lariba, the first Filipino table tennis Olympians, lost her battle with leukemia at a young age of 23. The Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, was the first to break the news just past midnight on Monday on Twitter as it expressed its condolences. The Philippine Table Tennis Federation praised Lariba's days in the UAAPs as two-time Athlete of the Year and Dean's Lister of the De La Salle University until she qualified for the Olympics. UAAP Executive Director Rebo Sagisag meanwhile said Lariba fought the good fight and reminded everyone that sports is a platform to do good. The International Table Tennis Federation also expended its condolences to the late athlete. Lariba represented the Philippines in the 2016 Rio Olympics in table tennis. The following year, however, she was diagnosed with leukemia. Mount Makiling is a tourist destination in itself, but nature lovers are also being drawn in a unique museum that promotes clean energy. Maricor Zapata has the story.
Aside from its museums and natural wonders, the province of Laguna still has something more to offer to tourists. On the slope of Mount Bulalo next to the mystical Mount Makiling, nestles the so-called Cleanergy Center, short for Clean Energy, an educational center with a sprawling 600 square meter wide space. The Cleanergy Center offers educational tours with different forms of learning activities. It has galleries, displays, videos, and interactive exhibits, all for the public to see for free. Engineering enthusiasts may be drawn into finding out how the wind turbine operates, or may create their own turbine and have it tested in the center. Visitors and students are also challenged with the exciting loop game while learning about carbon footprint reduction. Ronaldine Briones, Community Relations Specialist of AP Renewables Incorporated, explains the Mount Bulalo and Mount Makiling area as dormant volcanoes offers a vast source of geothermal power. Professionals, as well as young aspiring engineers, could take a peek into how several gigantic pipelines of the geothermal electricity go their way to the communities of Bay and Calauan towns of Laguna and to as far as Santo Tomas town in Batangas province. A visit to the Bacban geothermal facilities also offers visitors a breathtaking and panoramic view of the Makiling and Bulalo highland greeneries. The Cleanergy Center Museum is open to the public from 9 a.m. to 12 noon and 1 to 4 p.m. on weekdays. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. Senator Antonio Trillanes faces arrest for various acts of mutiny following the revocation of his amnesty by President Rodrigo Duterte. The House Justice Panel begins hearings on the impeachment complaint against Chief Justice Teresita de Castro and 6 other justices who were instrumental in the ouster of Maria Lourdes Sereno. The Presidential Electoral Tribunal dismisses the plea for the inhibition of Associate Justice Benjamin Caguiwa in the vice presidential election recount. And Filipino table tennis Olympian Yan Yan Lariba passes away due to leukemia. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm William Theo. Good day.